Back in 1938, Disney released its first animated movie. You probably heard about it before, a somewhat famous film titled Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. These were different times where animated movies were just a thing made for kids and their plots were oriented towards the specific demographic. Of course, several now classic animated stories had their origins in rather dark versions of the tales we've come to know and love today. But the thing is, Disney always managed to sugarcoat their stories in the way that they were presented to the audiences. But times have changed and so have the movies. To use a famous expression coined by the writer Stephen King, the world has moved, and we have moved with it. Modern Disney, or better put, the modern Disney-Pixar hybrid, has a totally different approach to animated movies. They now create much more complex storylines that, even when focused on children, contain deeper narrative structures, usually charged with symbolism and general concepts that present and develop controversial and delicate current issues through the use of metaphors. The most recent examples of this creative trend using the movies Luca in 2021 and Now Turning Red in 2022, which in our opinion are definitely the most sus Disney Pixar storylines to date. We can find lots of examples of the double narrative treatment that implies a bigger plot within the apparent plot if we examine what really happens behind the curtain of several Pixar movies. Beyond the specific drama and shenanigans experienced by the toys, if we analyze Andy's life, we can see that he's dealing with some complex events in his life. The movie starts with his family moving out. Where are they moving? Maybe his parents are in the middle of a divorce. Maybe his father has died recently. Have you ever thought about Andy's dad? He's nowhere to be seen, and of course, this subplot of dealing with change and abandonment is directly reflected in Woody's own worries, as he fears being replaced by Buzz Lightyear. The simple story of some insects and that's all, right? Well, no. What if we told you this movie is about facing a tyranny? It's all about the weak and clumsy ones, the nobodies of society organizing against an evil invading force that is about to install an oppressive regime.
Watch my eyes, don't look away. And here's the line again.
That's some way of dealing with complex political issues and teaching their subtleties to children. This movie directly deals with the marriage-facing problems of distrust and dishonesty as Mr. Incredible starts hiding things from his wife, Elastigirl, in order to keep working with Mirage. This apparently innocent setup could be hiding the implications of an affair happening and threatening the Incredibles' family unit. By the way, did you catch the name of that woman? Mirage, meaning illusion, something fake that deviates us from the righteous path. Well played, Pixar. What if humans don't live out there in space by their own will? Think about it. If humans created robots to face environmental destruction and climate changes, they could have banished humans from Earth looking to protect it.
Computer, when was that message sent out to the Axiom?
This tells us about the way humanity is leading the planet to its eventual annihilation and how we must act if we don't want to end up like those fat, lazy humans who don't do anything by themselves. Of course, the way Pixar presents this avoids scarring the children for life, which talks about the apocalypse and the imminent demise of human race. Once again, it's all about subtlety. Don't get us started with this one. Carl and Ellie's story stabs us in the heart from the very beginning, showing us Ellie's sickness and death. This movie deals with the harsh realities of aging, loss, grief, and death, and it's not an easy one to endure. But there is an even darker theory about it, one that says that Carl is dead. Maybe he just died out of sadness after losing his wife, and what we see is the mental representation of his journey to the afterlife, in which Ellie and Carl's version is represented by the impressive natural setting of the Angel Falls in Venezuela.
We're on our way, Ellie.
Yeah, take a moment with us. We know this is too much. How to maintain alive the memory of one of the most, if not the most, gruesome and horrible events in the human history. We're talking about the Holocaust.
There's something to be said for the original.
And that's something as yard sale.
People have identified several elements in this installment of the franchise that are enough to trace significant parallelism with the actual events that scarred humanity's mind in World War II. No one was ready for this. Of course, emotions. But everything we see in Riley's journey through emotions is not just about trivial instances of happiness and sadness. This is a masterpiece that deals with depression. It shows us how significant events can alter someone's personality forever and how difficult it is to deal with those changes and healthily integrate them in the course of our lives. Add the dark internet theory that claims to have proof of Riley's mom having committed credit card fraud in another state, and you've got the powerful bomb of a plot that you need to digest somehow in order to show them to your target audience, children. Now, all that matters in the end is the way the movies are interpreted and retell these complex themes in a way that the children's unconscious can grasp and assimilate over time. Now, let's focus on a couple of recent examples from Pixar's animation that dared to enter an unexplored terrain for children's movies and treated topics as powerful and relevant as sexual development and sexuality.
Why did our moving van even go to Texas?
Because the thing is, kids aren't going to be kids forever, and these kinds of movies do their best in showing them healthy ways to deal with issues that sometimes can't even be addressed at their own home. A sea monster who leaves the water to become human as he touches land, and an established friendship with another boy who's just like him. Okay, but there is a lot to be unpacked behind this apparent simple premise. And if you have seen our previous videos on this movie, you know what we're talking about. All of these details we mentioned are nothing but the surface. Deep below, the apparent profound aspects of the development from child to teenager lie hidden and ready to be unveiled. Disobedience, puberty, sexual discovery, and maybe even homosexuality as it has been perceived after analyzing Luca and Alberto's relationship. The movie went beyond a modern take on a classic coming-of-age cinema trope that has always been around and left nobody indifferent, as it portrayed a very close relationship between two boys that was interpreted by some as a romantic relationship.
Okay, but now I really do have to go.
Okay, bye.
The LGBTQ+ community immediately saw Luca as a flagship movie being born before their eyes, as they considered that the more than platonic implications of the movie were very on the nose. This perception of the plot resonated so widely that it was even compared to 2017's Call Me By Your Name, another Italian coming-of-age story that happens to be explicitly homosexual in nature. But given the more explicit nature of the other film, this comparison is just a bit far-fetched and unjustified, if you ask us. Everything in Luca was softer and more ambiguous, but the elements to support these claims are certainly there. They are enough to make you find several aha moments to support the gay theory, but also ambiguous enough to make you doubt if the movie was really trying to convey this message everybody was receiving, or if it was just about something else entirely. The story of a 13-year-old who bears a generational curse which makes her turn into a giant red panda. Right? Nevertheless, we know this movie wasn't just about that. Being a bit more explicit than Luca in its approach to the hidden plot, this movie resulted in a very divisive piece of entertainment as parents weren't ready to expose their kids to subjects such as puberty, a girl's first period, the transition into womanhood, and even some sexual references here and there. Want to get even more suspicious? Well, if you look at these scenes very closely, you'll be able to find some weird things that might be serving as a metaphor for darker, more adult topics. The most notorious aspect, we think, comes from the things that girls do to raise money to buy the 4-town tickets. First of all, Mi starts selling pics of herself transformed into a red panda. When this proves insufficient, she accepts a gig that consists on performing again as a red panda at some boy's birthday party. We don't want to get too explicit or graphic here, but if you translate these antics while seeing them but with more of adult lens, you'll maybe discover some metaphors that go a bit too far. No wonder this movie turned everybody red. Got it? People are really sensitive when it comes to teaching their kids this kind of lesson. Have you ever considered the kind of implications hidden beyond Pixar's storylines? Do you agree with our appreciation? Do you happen to have a theory like these ones about any other Pixar movie we didn't cover? Let us know everything in the comment section down below. Oh, and of course, as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on and share content with your friends.